Hey all, it's Vanessa Love again. I thought that I would do a quick little video. It might be a little bit longer, video about some of the frustrations I've had in the last 8 years of being in private practice. So one of the things that I do want to talk about is, so I've a couple of boarding schools. And sorry, for a second there, I was thinking like inpatient units. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. Boarding schools, and they've both been Catholic boarding schools and have come up with their own stuff. I worked at the boys' boarding school the longest, and I think I worked at the girls' school for a year. I really enjoyed it, but there were some issues. And sometimes it's like really tough to keep HIPAA in those situations because sometimes teachers want to talk to you about stuff, and I can't confirm or deny that a person is a client, even though like they know that like that the student is seeing me. It's quite difficult. um, so and I know like one time like there was a little bit of like a confusion. I was like contacting the parents on my own to kind of get paid, and the principal decided to call everyone into the all my clients into the office to call their parents to like get me paid, which like I was so mortified about and so embarrassed, and like here's all my clients, like, and I'm standing there and they're figuring it out. Oh my god, it was so bad. So HIPAA, in case you don't know, is a bunch of laws that were passed originally in 1996. It's like the Health Information Privacy or Portability Privacy Act. So they keep updating it, especially with new electronic things. And I did not learn much about the actual HIPAA laws when I was in grad school. So I have researched on my own, where people might be able to go and file a claim, especially if you feel like your health information has been violated, and all of that stuff. I do like just reading the laws because I like to see exactly what's expected of me. And sometimes like, therapists have a variety of varying degrees of what they will follow and what they won't follow from this law. And, it's always good to like kind of just read the law and make sure that you're like like read up on it. And it does change every year. It's very, I don't know, it's interesting to me. But you do have to keep all of your clients' information, uh, as, on a need to know basis, unless they give you permission. And at my grad school, they were very much about you have to get permission. So like there are times where I feel a little bit resentful when people just assume that I'm an idiot and that I wouldn't get permission from my clients before sharing their story, or sharing their artwork or whatnot. It's very, it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's some people just, I don't know, have to expect the worst of people. So one time working in one of these places, I saw a very, very like, just, it was an awful case. Like, not the person was awful, she's a wonderful person, but like she had been through trauma after trauma, and I imagine that her baseline was probably just generally introverted, and then she was a witness to violence like severely, that like, and I don't want to go into more detail than that because I think that might like put her case at risk or whatnot. And she became worse, and she didn't want me as a therapist, or she didn't want to continue with me. And like the principal and I, like we really thought like she was a great candidate for trauma therapy, because that's what I do. I know it really well, like, and she was a really great candidate. It's just that she did not want to talk about it. And she would say things that just weren't like it's almost like like she knows that it wasn't the truth, but like she just wanted out of there so badly that she was like, yeah, I can do that, whatever, okay, yeah, but like that's not how she was doing it. Because that would be confrontational, which is not who she is. And so she was like, and I'm just gonna make this up, like she wanted to be like a CEO or something, right? And I'm like, you have to do a lot, you have to like negotiate, you have to like, really have assertiveness skills. Yeah, I have them. Yeah, oh, I have no problem, I'll be able to do this. It's like, okay, well, I don't believe you. Like, could you show me any sort of assertiveness here? And she couldn't. So she started like doing all these really awful things, like saying that I yelled at her in every session and things that I'm like, I don't, no, that's not how this goes. And just was so resistant that eventually it was just like, okay, like this is causing you way more distress than is meant. So like you should move on. I don't know if she went to another therapist. I don't think they had another therapist there that wasn't like from an agency. Like they had an agency therapist who would go there, but like the agency was like for people who had been sexually abused or something, and that wasn't the case here. So like I don't think that that therapist was seeing her. I don't know. It was a very weird case. So a lot of people knew that she was very symptomatic and she had a lot of problems. So once they saw her leave therapy, they thought that since she was like very very symptomatic and just one like a worse case, I guess, um they thought that because they were dealing with things that weren't as severe as hers, that they didn't have to come to therapy anymore because she was fine. And like now I'd probably say like you can't judge your own journey based on someone else's journey or what they've gone through or whether or not you feel that they've healed from their stuff. But instead, and this is a perfectly fine response as well, this was like the first 2 years my of my private practice. So like what I said was, like everyone has their own journey in therapy. But I like it was so crazy because like I could not keep these clients. They were just like, no, I'm out. And it was not great. It was very frustrating. One of the biggest things that I still deal with is that I mean there's so much, but I'm like, do I want to go back or do I want? I'll just say this one. Is the ghosting. I have had so many clients just ghost me, and it's like I know my clients get mad at me. I'm like, I have experienced it like occasionally over the last 8 years. Like maybe there's like one meltdown like every like year or two where it's just like I'm fucking done. I'm out. You suck. Done. Type of thing. And so like what you call it, like I I appreciate that because like at least if someone's like, you never seemed to care about what I was feeling, you just seem to be clock watching and you just seem to be waiting for your paycheck to roll in, like I'd be like, okay, maybe I need to like switch up some stuff. Like that's not who I want to present myself as. But because people just tend to ghost, I just tend to think that there was something within them that prevented them from wanting to come back. Maybe I hit too hard on something. Maybe there was something that was like just too much for them. Maybe I was getting to the real meat of the issue and they just couldn't handle it. So they were like, no, I'm out. So that like I never know. So it's just kind of false. And it's one of those things that I've said before, like just be honest, like if my theory, if my like if you can point anything out to me that's like this is not the way that I would want this to go, then I could be like, oh yeah, I can totally see that. Do you want, a reference to someone else in the community who I know to be a good professional? I don't mind that. I am not here to be like, oh God, you have to stay here. Like, no, okay, like you have expressed that you are not okay with this. Like, all right, go on to the next therapist. There shouldn't be anything in me that says, no, you have to stay, like, or you have to stay right now. So yeah, like I mean that's definitely a very stressful thing. And if they're not on the Connecticut state insurance, then I usually send them to collections and just like, you guys deal with them, because I charge for a no call no show, and if you have a regular appointment and can't make it and no call no show, totally ghost me, then like, well, you get sent there. You get sent to the collections agency. So I'm not dealing with this. Um, let's see. So like there's that type of stuff, that happens, and it's very frustrating because like, again, if like anyone could just say, oh, it was because like this was a topic that we talked about, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, right. I'll pay more attention to those things. But ghosting is just like, all right, well, something's wrong with you. Of course. um, let's see. And then some of the other stuff that I've had to go through is like, I don't always work with teenagers or kids, because what I find is that sometimes when a family system is dysfunctional, they don't like their child getting close to someone, especially close to someone who's like, hey, you have the right to feel upset about this stuff. Hey, you definitely feel that way in this experience, whether or not your mom or dad or brother or uncle or aunt, like, or sister approve of you feeling that way. So like, react the way you want. Like, that's okay. Some parents hate that. It means that they have some sort of emotional connection to another adult and it's not them. And so some of these people, they'll, get their kid right out of here once we start working on serious stuff. And I did have like one parent many, many years ago who accused me of being manipulated by their kid. And I was like, but that's not actually what's happening. Like, what happened is that this kid talked about things that were nonsense, but it was for rapport building. That's what you have to do with teens. You can't just be like, hey, what about this stuff with your parents? Like, you have to build up, because they won't talk to you otherwise unless they're ready and they've requested to come in and talk to you. And even then, I mean, the whole process is very scary. Like, come on, talking to a stranger about things and you don't know if they're going to tell your parents. Come on, you know? So like, he was actually like talking about some very serious things. Like, he didn't know how his family, like, he was going to like fit into his family after he was an adult. And I think that that's like a perfectly fine thing to talk about in therapy, especially for someone in high school. That's like a wonderful thing. I'm glad that he had the foresight to be like, I don't, like, there are things going on and I don't know how, as an adult, I'm going to resolve this, and I'm scared. Like, that's a, like, how is that being manipulative on, of me during the process? Like, the, like, so I think it was probably that whatever family secrets were going to come out in that session or in the next couple of sessions, she just wanted to stop them, which is very unfortunate. Like, and that uh, person, like that guy, like, he ended up, like, this was one of the kids at the boarding school. He ended up being kicked out of boarding school for breaking the rules. And I don't mean like, oh, he spit on the ground. I mean, like, significantly broke the rules to the point where he had to leave. Um, and like, let's see, I know that they received it, like a note from him about, like, after he had like gone to a different, like, a wilderness therapy thing or something like that. I think that was the person. And it was just this whole thing. Like, but I feel, like, upon reflecting on this, I'm like, oh, he probably like just like felt that need to like to self-sabotage. So here he goes, because his family has already told him this is a perfectly fine thing to do. And in some way, I don't know if they, conveyed it like directly, but it was probably by their own actions that like he learned that, undermining his process or his education or all of his needs were like perfectly fine, because otherwise it seemed like he was getting, the support and help that he needed from that school. Um, I hope that I wish all that family well. I'm like, you guys do well. Um, you know, because like obviously there was some bad dynamics within that family, and I hope that it gets sorted out. Let's see. So, what was one of the other things I said? Ghosting collections. So like, for one of the things that happens when you're in private practice is that you still have to be like, you can't be too hard on your clients because they still have to come back to you and want to come back to you. So like I find that I don't press as hard for most of my clients. There are a couple of my clients that I'm like, you're going to be pissed off at me. This is fine. You're going to be back next week. We're good. Um, but like, there's a lot of clients that I would never have that conversation with because like, feel like, I don't feel like they would come back. And I like, and when you're in a facility, you are more than likely going to see those clients again, those patients. Like, in an inpatient unit, you're going to see them again. Like, you know, I know that when I worked at the psych hospital, it was like I was either, catering to like the group that was like had depressive disorders and anxiety disorders, all of this stuff, or I was like with the group that was had psychosis. Not so much because like that's just not I like it's not my forte. And then I was with the kids and the adolescents a lot. And so like there's only one group going on at a time, for any one of those populations. So, like if I'm with the kids, I'm with the kids. If tomorrow I'm going to be with the kids, the next day I'm going to be with the adolescents, I'm going to be with the adolescents, and then I'm going to be with the adolescents. And so, like you can definitely push them. They can definitely have days where they're pissed off at you. And then, like the most amazing thing happens. Like they know that they can't really escape you. And like there's no way to be like, because like sometimes they're forced to go to like groups and all of this stuff. So like they end up like having these really meaningful moments where they apologize for their behavior, for what happened, for anything like that, because I mean, they're going to see you. And like, either this is going to be a tough, a tough admission or it's not. And I think most of the times that like anyone just really like had that, like, no, like we're not going to do well, like work well together. They were able to eventually like, you know, get over that. And like, I think that is such an amazing experience when someone can just be like, okay, I'm sorry, and like, I mean, so cool to experience. And like, definitely one of those things that like, you don't get to experience in private practice because once you piss one of your clients off, they're like, most of the time, they're never coming back. They're like, no, we're good. No, no, no. But like things like that. And I know I just made it sound like really, really terrible, like it was torture or something, like they had to have this trauma bond or something. But like, um, it's really not that. It's not like they're not doing it mostly disingenuously. Like sometimes the teams will do it disingenuously, and say things like, be like, hey, like you broke the rule there. Like, could you just make sure to, like follow the rules? And they'll be like, sorry. I'm like, well, if you're really sorry about it, you won't do it again. And so like when they do it again, I'm like, well, okay, so you weren't really sorry. You didn't really learn from it. But like there was one time this guy, I was talking about like grief, something that everyone has gone through. And he was like, I don't think that you've ever been through anything in your life. How dare you do this group? It was like completely nuts. And I don't know what happened, like, but like, I don't know what happened, but I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go forward with this group. You're complete, like if you want to sit outside the group room, if you want to talk to the nurses and say that like you just are having difficulty, that's fine. you know? But like the next day I came in and he was like, I'm really sorry that I said that to you. Of course you've been through things. And, I shouldn't just assume that you haven't been through anything. And, it was just this really like, oh, and like I'm not the type of person to hold a grudge for, like for much for my clients. Like I don't think that's helpful. So like right after this happened, he was like, "Hey, well, I'm familiar with AA. There's supposed to be an AA group tonight, but like the volunteer canceled. Can you ask if I can be the facilitator here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll ask. No problem." And like came back and was like, "Yep, they approve that you'll do this. That you'll facilitate the AA meeting. Like, see you later." And I think also because of that, he knew that there was nothing, like there's no hard feelings, and of course, like like very luckily, this is like now 10 years ago. Like I was not in such a place to just be like, you don't know me, and all of that other stuff, because like my immediate thing was like, it like I want to tell you about all these things that I've been through, but like I'm not going to. This is not the time nor place. That's probably how I might respond now. But like back then, no. I was just like, well, sorry you feel that way. Moving on. Which probably pissed him off a little bit more too. Not my intention, but like, it's just kind of like well, you're not going to learn about uh, anything about me deflected, deflecting your deflection. Let's focus on the actual thing here. We're going to talk about grief because you got to talk about it. And yeah, I mean, I think that was a very beautiful moment. Not a moment that I would have had any other way, because I mean, if my clients are like, I don't feel like you've been through anything, it can be like, well, that must be really rough if you think that I haven't been through anything. And, well, how about we just really focus on you, and depending on their reaction, that might be a good response or it might be a terrible response. Yeah. So, I mean, there are definitely advantages to the facility work. It's just that I think a majority of those advantages just like I'm totally going to turn into one of those MLM like type like sounding people where I'm like, but you get to make your own schedule in private practice, and you get to see the people you want in private practice, and you get to be safe. You get the freedom and flexibility of being in your own office and going your own way. But I mean, like, there are some advantages, like, if you need supplies at a facility, you probably have a budget for that. There's probably petty cash for that. You can find something, you know, um, that type of stuff. And you always are around people. You have references. You have, people with a vast amount of knowledge all around you, um, and all of that stuff. But you have to stick to a schedule and manage with your superiors, which can be easy for some people. And for me, no, I don't know, not so much. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that I got everything. I can't like, there's no like way for me to like look at the title, I think. So I'm just like, oh, uh, I think I got it all. I do want to say that I have been working really hard to make sure that I get subscribers, and I have blown everything out of the water. So I want to say, oh my God, thank you so much. I am over 550 subscribers right now. That means so much to me. I'm so grateful to all of you who have decided that, like, you saw me, posting all these places, like, I'm just trying to get to, my next goal. And you were able to just like find that value and subscribe to me. Like, I don't even know what to say. I'm like so excited, and like I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm like keep advertising my YouTube channel, so that definitely like definitely get more subscribers. And like I just, oh my God, I'm just looking so much forward to the future, especially like if I could ever make money off this channel, I would be so grateful and so happy. And like, I just want to reach that level, and like, it's working. It's working. It's so amazing. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Even like, I think someone has subscribed to me just to like downvote my videos. And I'm like, well, this isn't Reddit. Like, it's not going to like create too much like negative karma for me. So like, thank you to the people who hate me. Gotta do the shout out to that. But like, also thank you so much for all of the likes, all of the shares. Like, it's amazing. I just so thank you so much. Please share and like and subscribe and all of that stuff. And I hope to hear from you soon. Like, yeah, I'm just amazed. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and obviously we'll talk soon. All right, thanks.